Hello and welcome, nerds. We're doing Witherbloom's classroom today. That means, yes, we're talking about those plant loving, death obsessed high school university student. It's fine. So this classroom I imagined, similar to other classrooms, is having kind of a unique flair to it. The unique flair for the Witherbloom classroom is that all of the classrooms are built into the various trunks of various trees across the Witherbloom campus. Kind of the later year classrooms I'm envisioning in my brain is kind of being in the bigger, more important trees. And then as you kind of junior out, your classroom tends to be like further out, kind of near the fringes. Um, just for, I don't know, it just seemed fun. The thing that I think is important here is, though, my imagination of these classrooms is they're not used a ton. They're kind of like muster points for the students to meet or write tests or do whatever has to be done kind of in a more official academic sense. But most of the learning, I'm imagining, is actually happening out somewhere on the campus. They're being given projects or classwork that involves going and finding, foraging, interacting with fauna and flora, etc., graveyards, all that fun stuff. So I'm this school. I'm imagining the classroom kind of being more of a place that the students actually aren't going to physically be in that often. That being said, I still like the idea of having this like kind of au natural. Everything is carved from the inside of the tree. Nothing is left to waste. Even the rotted material serves a purpose. Anyways, okay, so how does the classroom actually run? So if you haven't seen one of these videos before, I'll put a link down in the description, and you can kind of see how I generally run these classrooms or how I envision the process is working. But so I'll just dig into the actual tasks, the kind of the activities the students will be able to access. So we have biotics, which is a nature or animal handling check, necrotics, which is arcana or animal handling, vampirics and transference, and then bioexotics. Now, what's different about this school is I've kind of envisioned this idea of that there's kind of a little bit more of branching paths. Most of the other schools, I've kind of not the flavor of which kind of alignment of the two parts of the dichotomy you go is kind of flavored by player choice. It's more, I guess, like institutionally captured here. So the idea is that every student's going to take biotics and necrotics. Biotics being the study of like living things, and necrotics being the study of dying things or things, how things come to their natural end or unnatural end. But then you kind of have these two alternate paths where I don't actually envision students doing both. They like could, given enough time, they could sort of master both, and that's part of the Strixhaven way, is kind of truly mastering both sides of the dichotomy. But vampire, you'll notice that the DCs for these, unlike other schools, are the same. So these two, you kind of have your standard escalating DC, you DC 10 plus two times the year. So if you're a second year, DC 14, DC 16. But then these are DC 20 if you're second year, kind of regardless. So you can do either. Now, I have in my head that maybe I bump the DC for whichever one you do second, but it's arbitrary. I kind of have that idea in my head. But I don't think, it doesn't really feel all that necessary. Anyways, cool. So what are you doing for these checks in your canon? So you notice I have nature and animal handling. I think this is very straightforward. I think this is really about growing, nurturing, and working with animals and plants, fauna and flora. Whereas you have arcana and animal handling here, which is more about kind of the magical interaction of speeding decay, slowing decay, working with the general process of necrosis, and then still animal handling, because you might be working with not so living animals, but they're still animals. And I should mention, in my campaign, animal handling is more just like anything handling, anything that's not. If it can't speak, basically you can roll animal handling to deal with it. Is my ethos, and it's just like, the DCs are just really high. If it's kind of a belligerent, non-communicative demon, sure, roll it. I'm here for it. Then the idea with vampirics and transference, this is the idea of, now that you've kind of mastered or know how the decaying or destruction of life force works, the idea of harnessing it, absorbing it, taking advantage of it, transferring it, hence transference. and vampirics, so that you may be able to do things like sustain or increase the life of something unnaturally or magically. And then bioexotics is this idea there's these really extreme, highly are not so diverse, more so divergent forms of life that are really unique. And it's about studying these extremely unique, hard to find, very fascinating biological, magical machinations. So this thing that I have in a picture here is just totally made up. It's not a real D&D creature. So the idea is like what I really like about this is in the age of AI generated art. And I intend to do this, is to have the students like describe features of what they think the creature that they want to find has, and then just like generate something based on those inputs. I think that's going to be really cool. Okay, so what do you get for studying this stuff? Well, as you progress through the steps, you gain access to different spells. These ones are far more limited compared to the other schools. That's very intentional, because I kind of envision opening things up, and like kind of the end game prizes, so to speak, for this college are pretty strong. So I didn't want to make it. Basically, the payoff comes by committing, as opposed to some of the other colleges you get earlier payoffs. Anyways, so if you get 3 successes, basically at any of these, you open up the possibility of learning Infestation, Druidcraft, Mold, Earth, Shape, Water, Poison Spray, and then Biotics and Necrotics. So the idea being it doesn't matter which one of these two you pick. You could actually pick to do the slightly harder one to begin with, and then you still gain access to anything after 3 successful uh, interactions. So very fast payoff there, but then you have much slower biotics. So now you need 5 successes in biotics, and these don't stack, right? So if you want the reward for 5 successes in biotics, you don't get it after 2 more successes after this. You start over. Then you get animal friendship, speaks with animals, locate animals or plants, and we'll talk about speak with animals and locate animals here in a sec. And then necrotics, you get vampiric touch, plant growth, blight, animal growth. And that might seem a little weird. Why do you get animal growth and plant growth in necrotics? Well, that's because in order to study things dying, you need them to be alive and near the end of their life fast. And one of the ways that you can make that happen, it doesn't seem, this is just my own fun interpretation, is to make them grow really fast. Making things grow really fast is a way to make them decay quickly. So in my mind, you can use these spells not only to like make things live and flourish, but if you keep using it, eventually you're going to make them come to the natural end of their life a lot faster. So that's the idea there. So animal growth has this caveat here. It says, is a spell that functions with the same intention as plant growth for animals. It can be used to age a single creature to maturity with roughly 5 casts. The 10th cast of this spell, or when cast on a creature in that last 10th of its life, will cause the creature to die. So as you can see, animal growth not being an actual spell, it's just my interpretation of plant growth, but for animals. When cast over an 8-hour period, all creatures in the area will be healthier and stronger. The spell has no effect on creatures who have an intelligence score of 4 or over. Again, so this is meant to be used on creatures who non-communicative, can't learn a language type creatures. That's the spirit of it. I tried to write the mechanics out there, but really the intention is at the table. If the thing is experiencing sentience in any way, the spell no longer has the ability to take effect. And then you have your vampiric transference and bioexotics. They need 10 successes, and you have lice transference and veneration, negative energy flood, anti-life shell, charm monster, dominate beast, and create undead are all bioexotics. You'll notice that studying undead things is actually more of a bioexotics thing. You don't actually, this is more like focused on you and leveraging the skills you've learned to improve your own life, etc. Or bioexotics is actually where you're going to go study the big, crazy, creepy undead things. You're less concerned about that in vampirics. It's more of a self-centered source of study, and that's very intentional. Okay, so the skill mastery, you get options. You get opened up to changing. So if you haven't seen this before, you get to pick a skill, and you get to bump it up by 1. You get to 3 after 3 successes, or essentially passing 3 classes, and passing a class in this is literally achieving any of these that are associated with a specific class. So you can pass more than 1 class, but generally I'm capping it at 1 mastery skill per term just to keep it reasonable. But that's just how I'm playing it right now. You know, fast and loose, things change, keep the players happy, having fun. So the skills you can do here is you can change nature to wisdom, you can change arcana to wisdom, or you can change animal handling. Uh, uh, Sorry, if they choose animal handling, they can then choose to extend the skill to include plants. So that's a kind of an alternate one that you don't get from other colleges. But because of the kind of more verbose skills you get with kind of the expansion of how animal growth or getting animal growth, plant growth, and then communicating with animals and communicating with plants, you kind of get more utility than you might get, whereas you get some more like hard mechanical bonuses from some of the other schools. Okay, what do you get if you graduate? Well, if you do the bioexotics route, uh, you get the ability to use animal slash plant handling. I lump those together on creatures of any type as a means to properly pacify and engage with them safely. So this means any creature that you engage with that essentially is not sentient, and you know, I'd even extend this to be like, I don't know, maybe mildly sentient. You can use this skill to like calm things down. You know, assess the situation and know how to approach it without causing immediate combat is the idea. Getting your way through an RP situation with RP instead of with, you know, just pure unbridled violence. And then if you go the necromancy route, you just get the ability to become a vampire. Yeah, I don't know if I need to say more about that. All graduates, regardless of these two paths, may choose to unlock either all necromancy spells or all druid spells from the 5e player's handbook, regardless of class. So basically, you unlock those spell lists, and they just function as the rest of your spells do. So if you're a wizard, they function like wizard spells, so you have to learn them. If you're a druid, they function like druid spells, and you can swap out wizard necromancy spells the same way you would any other spell. Cool. If you care to read this, there's a Golgari tie-in from Ravnica because all my Strixhaven settings are tied into or my Strixhaven campaign is tied into a Ravnica campaign. So I'll just leave that there if you care to read it. That's always appreciated. Anyways, that's it. I hope you like this. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the content at adaptivedungeons.com. You can always view everything I have here. I'm happy to hear any feedback, comments, ideas, concerns, all that good stuff in the comments, please. But otherwise, happy tabletop gaming, nerds, and I'll see you next time.